أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم. I welcome my dear brothers and sisters in Islam to our continuation in the explanation of the book Umdatul Fiqh by the great Hanbali scholar of Islam Ibn Qudama rahimahullah. Walhamdulillah, in our previous lesson we had gone through the chapter Bab al-Wadi'a. We had also discussed the matters of Ariyya. What is this Wadi'a? Wadi'a is this item which someone had given to you to safeguard for them. It's not your property. You are not borrowing it. It's not a loan, but rather Sulaiman has given it to you to look after it, full stop. You cannot make use of it, you cannot sell it, you cannot gift it to anyone else, you cannot lend it to anyone else. And it is an amana with you, meaning that if you did not fall short in safeguarding it, if you did not transgress the bounds, then if it perished, if someone had broken into your house and stolen it, etc., you will not be held responsible, you will not be liable for that, because it is an amana and you are an ameen over the wadi'ah. We had also discussed the ahkam pertaining to ariyya, and ariyya is that item which you had lent to someone. So maybe it was a book, maybe it was your car, maybe it was your computer, maybe it was a hammer that you had lent to someone. We had learnt in the noble Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ, and there are individuals that they are despised because يَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ, they prevent lending others items which they have, which in reality they do not require at this very moment. So the hammer, I don't need my hammer right now, I've used it, it's fine, it's there in my garage, and you want to borrow it for 5-10 minutes, and I say no, I will not lend it to you. This is يَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ, they are going against وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ, that cooperate upon goodness and kindness and taqwa, and do not cooperate upon evil. This individual who prevents the other party from making use of this item when he has no need, in reality he is despised and he is a bakhil, he is a miser. We had also seen that when it comes to ariyya, majority of the scholars are of the opinion that if I lent you my computer, if I lent you my car, then you guarantee it under all circumstances. You are liable with regards to my car under all circumstances. Whether you fell short, whether you transgressed, makes no difference. You are liable under all circumstances. And that's the opinion of majority of the scholars. Whereas the Hanafi scholars stated with regards to ariyya, then it is also similar to wadi'ah in that it is an amana. And if you did not fall short, if you looked after the car, you locked it, you put on the alarm, and someone came along and stole it, you are not held accountable, you are not responsible, because it's an amana in your hand. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he states that if, for example, we had put a condition that I am lending you my car on condition, you are responsible for it mutlaqan, you guarantee it back to me under all circumstances, then it would apply, because al-muslimuna ala shurutihim, and Muslims are upon the conditions which they set down. We had also gone through the chapter Bab al-Ijara, or rather Kitab al-Ijara, the book of hiring and leasing contracts. We had learned from amongst many matters that you have two types of workers. You have an ajir khas and you have an ajir mushtarak. You have a laborer, you have a skilled worker who works only for you. You pay him according to his time. So this individual works in your home, your employee at your supermarket, the employee in your company, etc. They work for you only, full stop. You pay them according to time. Their hand is the hand of an ameen over the items in your business. And so if, for example, your domestic worker, she broke a plate, she broke the washing machine, etc., and she did not fall short, she did not transgress the bounds, but she was just making use of it, and then it broke, she will not be held accountable, she will not be responsible. And we had also discussed the issue pertaining to ajir mushtarak, maybe the plumber, maybe the carpenter, your mechanic, etc. This individual, according to majority of the scholars and the madhab, this individual is responsible under all circumstances. He guarantees the item under all circumstances. You gave him your car to fix. It was there in his workshop. He did not make any mistake, but now the car's not working. He did not make any mistake, but now something else has broken. He is still responsible. Why? Because according to majority of the scholars, the ruling, and they made a distinction between ajir khas and ajir mushtarak. Ajir khas, because you trusted this individual, you hired this individual, he is working as a wakil for you. He is your wakil in your business, doing the same business as you would do. As for the ajir mushtarak, then this person works for many people. And if we did not ask him to guarantee the items, then what's going to happen? He would fall short when it comes to safeguarding those items. He would fall short when it comes to looking after the items. And he has all of these cars and all of these items from all the different people. So Ali radiallahu ta'ala, it was part of his fatwa and his ruling that the ajir mushtarak must guarantee those items to the owners. And there is khilaf in the mas'ala, as we had discussed previously. We also talked about ijara al-muntahiya bit-tamliq, that you rent to own. And at the end of the rental agreement, then we will sit down and we will work out a selling price of this item to you. Or we will gift it to you at that time. And we saw that this is something which is permissible, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. With that, we take on the next chapter, which is the chapter Bab al-Ghasb. The chapter pertaining to misappropriation, or if, for example, someone usurped the property of another. The language definition of this word ghasb, it means to take something by force, to take something with qahr, to take something without any haqq, without any right. You took it as a zalim, you took it as an oppressor, you took the property of someone else. As for the legal definition, then it is istila ala mal ghayrihi bi ghayri haqq. It is to put your hand over the property of someone else's without any haqq whatsoever. And maybe we could add on qahran, by force, to remove us from the definition of sariqa. Sariqa is when someone steals, and sariqa is, in reality, when someone steals quietly, someone breaks into your home, a burglar, etc. This individual, while you don't know, he comes very quietly and he steals. This is sariqa. And then you have something called ikhtilas. Ikhtilas is wherein an individual steals from you while you are there, maybe in front of the individual, but you did not pay attention to this. You did not pay attention while he was stealing from you. Maybe the pickpocket, or you're in a restaurant and someone comes and he steals away your handbag or your wallet, etc. So this is called ikhtilas. Sariqa, when it's very quiet, you asleep, you don't know anything whatsoever, you might not even be around, that is sariqa. And as for ghasb, then this is as per the definition, istila ala mal ghayrihi bi ghayri haqq, to put your hand over the property of someone else, zulman, without any haqq whatsoever. What's the ruling with regards to this matter? Then it is haram by consensus of the scholars. Allah states in the Noble Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la ta'kulu amwalakum baynakum bil batil, that all you who believe, do not eat up the wealth of one another upon batil. Also, we find the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Sahih Muslim, Inna dima'akum wa amwalakum haramun alaykum. Verily, the blood of one another, the wealth of one another is haram to the other, just like the sanctity of this day. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was on Hajj at that time. Another mas'ala is tasarrufat al-ghasib, that the actions of the one who had stolen this item, the actions of the hijacker, the actions of the one who usurped this property, the actions of the one who stole the car, etc. What if this individual, he might have increased the value of that item? So he took the car, he stole the car, and he did a service on the car, and he put new tires, and he tinted the windows, etc., etc. He increased the value of this property. The increase of the value goes to who? Let's say once we retrieve the property, it goes to the police station, etc. Now we want to get back our property. The ziyada, does the owner have the haqq to the ziyada? The answer is yes. The ziyada, the increase in the value of that item, let's say it was an animal, and so the ghasib, the one who stole, he had fed the animal, and now the animal has put on maybe 5-10 extra kilograms. This extra ziyada and its value goes back to who? Goes back to the owner, and we don't give anything of that to the one who had stolen. Also, if there's any naqs, this individual had stolen a car, and the value of the car has now depreciated. He did not drive it well, he maybe caused a dent here, a dent there, etc. Who's responsible for all of this? The thief is responsible for all of that. So if there was any increase in value, it goes to the owner. Any decrease, then the owner must be compensated for that. Also, number 4, if this was an item which was stolen, and this is an item which usually can be rented out, then for the period that the thief had it with him, he owes the malik, he owes the owner the rent of that period. Example, he had stolen a car, and he put a new radio system, and he put a CD system, tinted the windows, put new tires, tinted the windows, etc., etc. And so it's increased in value by maybe £2,000. Once we retrieve the vehicle, we give it to the owner, and the owner benefits from that. And also, if the car was stolen for maybe 2 months, the thief owes the owner the rent for that period of 2 months. Subhanallah. With that, we begin with the explanation. The author states, من غصب شيئا فعليه رده وأجرة مثله إن كان له أجرة مدة مقامه في يده. If a person has misappropriated something, stolen something, he is obliged to return it. That's the haqq of the malik, of the owner. You need to give it back. He must also pay the regular fee for hiring such an article for the period in which it was at his disposal. Then the author states, وَإِن نَقَصَ فَعَلَيْهِ أَرْشُ نَقْصِهِ. And if he, add in the translation, if he decreases the value of the item, he is obliged to compensate for the shortfall. If he decreases the value of the item, the car has decreased in value, you have a few dents here and there, you need to pay the compensation for that. He is obliged to compensate for the shortfall. The author then states, وَإِن جَنَى عَلَيْهِ أَجْنَبِيٌّ فَلِسَيِّدِهِ تَضْمِينُ مَنْ شَاءَ مِنْهُمَا. The author states, وَإِن جَنَى فَأَرْشُ جِنَايَتِهِ عَلَيْهِ سَوَاءٌ جَنَى عَلَى سَيِّدِهِ أَوْ أَجْنَبِي. If the misappropriated slave commits a crime, if someone had stolen a slave, and the slave commits a crime, the blood money for this crime is incumbent upon the one who had stolen the slave. So Ahmed goes along, he steals a slave, and the slave kills someone else. This slave beats up someone. This slave does some sort of crime. Who's responsible for the compensation to the victim? The one who had stolen the slave. Why? Because the crime was committed while the slave was in possession of the thief. And so the thief, he is responsible for the blood money, etc. If the misappropriate slave commits a crime, the blood money for his crime is incumbent upon the usurper, whether he commits it against the master or on a stranger. And then the author states, وَإِن جَنَى عَلَيْهِ أَجْنَبِيٌّ فَلِسَيِّدِهِ تَضْمِينُ مَنْ شَاءَ مِنْهُمَا. If a stranger commits a crime against the misappropriated slave, so if some stranger, he commits a crime against that slave while the slave was stolen by the thief, then the master is entitled to hold responsible whichever of the two parties he wishes. He could either hold the usurper responsible, or he could hold the one who had committed the crime responsible. Jayyid. Whichever one, he gets back his value and he gets back his compensation. After that, if it goes to court, the usurper can take the one who committed the crime upon the slave to court to get back the value of the compensation that he had paid to the owner of the slave.